Alright, well, I got my sheeting up last night. Oh, that rain really did a number on me, but this is my dry fit of the doors, just to make sure everything was looking good, and it is. And I actually set these with my wife, and I'll explain how I did that. Usually, you know, there's a brick mold around these doors, these pre-hungs when you buy them, you know, and I guess they say, you know, to put them in to where the brick mold touches, seal it on the back edge. You know, I don't ever do that. I tear that stuff off so I could set it from either side. So what I did, as you can see, I put a block of 2x4 here, 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 and here, and I had the doors on the inside. So I was able to just, you know, with the help of my wife, kind of steadying the doors to walk it in from the back. And I didn't need a third person, you know, outside to make sure they didn't fall out, because they stop right there. And that also made it perfectly in line with the wall. So everything's looking good. And let me step inside. I've got to adjust my reveals and all that action, you know, they're just in here temporarily. So once I got them set in that way to keep them from falling back, I just did the same thing on the inside, you know, blocks of 2x4, one in the center at the top and one on either side at the bottom. So that's just an idea for you guys if you're trying to set something like this and you don't have 2 or 3 strong people, you know, like I said, you know, using my wife, but I was able to get it in there. So I'm going to shift it side to side, make sure everything's plumb level, and then what I'll do is I'll mark it on the floor where it's going to be. I'll tilt it back into the room, prepare the sealant under the bottom, stand them back in and shore it all up. But it's moving along. Got the wall finished. I think I already showed a clip of that, possibly. So I'm just trying to get this to a point where it's battened down, install the windows, get the trim around them, and then I need to finish my siding. So this room's not going to be done for a long time. I'm just trying to get it to the point where I can finish wrapping the house, caulk it, paint it, and then I'll shift back on the inside. So all in all, moving on. I ran into a problem, and I'm just going to kind of describe what I'm up against here. It may give you guys some information if you're trying to do something like this, but I was having trouble, you know, getting the doors to close properly and get an 1/8 inch gap down the middle so they don't, you know, kind of hit each other. And I'll explain in the, you know, I'll even show you in the manual, but to make sure that they're not racked, you know, and both sides are equal to each other, there's something called a string test, and I found it on the internet, and it works real nice. So I'm just going to throw it in here, and what I've done is I've taken a piece of string. I apologize, it's, you know, midnight about the light, and I've attached it down on that corner. I've run it all the way up to that corner of the door, just came across, and then I'm coming down here, and I have the loose string in my hand. So what you do here is attach it down on this corner, drop some of that excess, and hold it here, and then look at your cross section right here. Hopefully you can see that. And they're just barely touching each other. You probably can't see it. And you want them to barely touch. And then to check it on the other side, again, sorry about the camera, I'm trying to one-hand this. Put your string on the other side, pull it down to the same point, make it pretty taut, and hopefully you can see they're just barely touching. So that tells me these doors are perfectly in the same plane from one side to the other, you know, 5 feet away, 6 feet away, you know, so they're not racked. But let's say, for example, if your string was in on one side and pushing from the other side, you need to rack that jam until you get it right. So it is right, but I'm going to try to step inside and show you the problem. Well, I'm reading their directions right here that came with these doors, and all these arrows indicate your margins. And it clearly says here to check that the unit is level. It is. Plumb and square. It is. From the inside of the door. It is. Check for a 1/8 inch margin between the frame and the door panels. Okay, so out here on the jamb sides of each, and then down the center. Now let me show you what I've got. Here's what I've got. I've got an equal space from the top to the bottom, but it is not an 1/8 inch. It's a 1/16 of an inch gap in here. I know it's difficult to see, but trust me, that's what it is. And there's nothing I can do about that gap because that's how the hinges are inset, mortised in here. So that is what I have, okay? And it's the same on the other side. Now here's my problem. I'm supposed to have an 1/8 inch gap right here, and this is the important one. I do not. I have a 1/16 at best in here as well. And where it's really most important is down by the lock set, you know, but as it is right now, this door actually touches the other one, and I have to push it in. Now let me show you what they said the remedy was for this. Alright, well you probably can't see it, but I'm just going to read it. You know, an incorrect margin. It must be correct for the doors to operate properly. If the margin is too small, remove equal amounts of shim on both sides to create a 1/8 inch margin in the middle between the doors. Sounds pretty self-explanatory, but let me show you my problem. Okay, here's why I can't do that. And believe you me, I tried. If I remove some shim width out of here and pull this down in tighter, I've only got a 1/16 of an inch right here, not an 1/8, which it should be from the factory. So when I pull this jamb in, I cannot make this top of the jamb any longer, nor the bottom. So I end up bowing this, and I do start getting the margin I need, but then I start hanging up right here on both sides. I tried to do a little bit on each side to get my margin, but it starts slamming in right here, and that's not going to do it. So really what needs to happen is, and I'll have to address that, and I'm kind of irritated, you know, because these are pre-hung doors. They were put together at the factory. But I'm going to have to take off this piece right here, which is just held on by screws. And I'm going to have to plane down this little ledge. I don't think you can see it, but there's a little ledge down here. I'm going to have to shave this off and then put this piece back on to give myself the reveal I need. You know, because like I said, I can't make the top of the jamb any wider, and I can't make the sill any wider. So anything I try to do in here to correct that, you know, I've got a 1/16 of an inch reveal in here, not reveal, a gap. And like I said, if I try to bow this over, removing shims, to bring this door this way and the other one that way to create that gap I need so they close properly, I end up hanging up in the corners. Now they close, but when I do close them, it's hard to close them, and the jamb starts tweaking around, and you know, once I paint it or whatnot, you know, it's just going to take that paint off. So I'll fix it, but you know, like I said, just information if you guys are, you know, doing something like this, what you might expect for you know, pre-hung doors or whatnot, you know, especially doubles like this, you know, a 1/16 inch on either side, you know, that's an 1/8 inch. It should be an 1/8 right here anyway. So across everything, you know, that little miscalculation on how wide this is and how wide the sill was cut on the bottom makes a big difference in my opinion. So I'll take care of it, I'll fix it, but I shouldn't have to, especially, you know, for what I paid for these doors.